13. In other things, however, whether I'll be giving a benefit to you, nescio, I don't know. But in one, I'll be accepting a benefit in one way, maybe. For, genitives, for of Porcius Latronus, most dear friend to me, rather often I'll be forced to retractorate or rehandle or rethink over my memories of this guy. And from the prime of our youth, as far as his ultimate day, his death, our familiar friendship productum lasted through this period. When I rethink of this, I'll be thinking of him with a great voluptate, great love basically, and great pleasure to rethink of him. Nihil, nothing was more grave, more serious to this man. Nothing was more sweet. Nothing was more worthy in eloquence than Sua, his eloquence. So, I guess no one had any more of those three skills. No one ordered around his him his genius more. So, and no one indulged it more. So he commanded his own wit. In utrim qui partem, this is these two pluses here, these two topics. Modus, a limit was lacking in both of these respects, you might want to say, to this vehement man, passionate man. Neither was he knowing how to intermittere or break up or stop his studies or to repeat them or to start them back up again. So he's a bit of a workaholic and he didn't know how to take a break, and if he did, then starting back up again was a problem. 14. When he excited or stirred up himself to writing, something was joined. Days were joined to nights. He just kept working, and without an interval. Sine is preposition to an ablative noun, and in African Latin they use prepositions as well. Not prepositions with participles, present participles as well. You see that in the Vulgate. Anyway, he pressed himself rather seriously or heavily. He would force himself on. Neither did he take a break, did he desist, unless he was wore out. And again, he would send himself off into all types of games, and he would resolve or loosen himself in all types of jokes. Cum vero. But when he handed himself over to the woods and the mountains, to those men born in the mountains and the woods, in their patience of agrestial labour, in these cunningness of hunting, he would provoke them. So he'd challenge these men who were born there with their farm works and their hunting. And he reached into such a desire, cupidarium, of living. He desired such a love of living thus, sicut, that scarcely he was able to be dragged back to his prior habit, basically, of all that studying day and night. At cum. But when he injected his hand on himself, when he grabbed hold of himself, and he abducted himself away from this otium, this leisurely blandishments, he encumbered himself with such strength into his studies that, not only did he lose nothing, but he seemed to have acquired much by this ablative, this laziness and leisure. 15. Subindi. From time to time, to relax the mind helps, quidem indeed, everyone, omnibus people, everyone. For vigour is excited by otium, leisure, so you can get more strength when you've had some time in leisure. And all tristitia, that is grimness and sadness, which by your continuation of your steady studies or your devotion to studies, this is all added. You get a bit of tristia from continuation of such studies. This can be shaken off, disputed by the hilarity and joking around of a holiday. Nevertheless, to no one versus everyone, it helps no one more than him, it looks like. This intermission manifestly or very openly, this little break helps him. Quotidians, whenever he resurrected himself after an interval, much more sharply and strongly, he would speak. For he would exult with his robor, his strength, new and afresh, and the things which he pressed out from himself, tandem quantum, as much as he was able to desire, basically. So whatever he wanted to desire, he could force out from himself. Now he's refreshed. Where am I there? So he was not knowing how to dispense his strengths, but immoderately or over the top, out of control, he would, again we see him peer him, he was ordering his body or his mind against itself. And for this reason, his studium, again his zeal and enthusiasm, would have been prohibited because he was not able to rule himself, wasn't able to control himself. And so he was accustomed, him himself, assiduously means constantly, and with never an intermission, so he'd break, looks like he was accustomed to break himself by this constancy and not stopping, never with an, and so by the contention, that's like striving and fighting, consistently fighting with himself, looks like he broke himself. Still using this infinitive, he would sense the lassitude or the tiring of his genius, which in the mind is not less than bodily lassitude and tiredness, but it's a bit more secret, I suppose, because people can't see your mind. They can see your body when it's tired, but they can't see your mind being tired. 16. The body to him was solid by nature and geratum, and hardened by much exercise. For this reason, never to desert the impetus of a burning mind. That looks like a fourth declension. His voice was robust but deaf, so that's blunt, I guess. He had a blunt voice. Not infuscated or darkened or clouded by nature, but negligence and was that working by lantern or something? I can't remember. Okay. Combration, third declension. Frequency, 2 or 3 citations. Burning midnight oil, night work, nocturnal study, work by the lamp. Okay. With the benefit, nevertheless, lifted up of his side, so it's strengthened his voice with his lungs, I guess. Your lungs are in your side, maybe. And although amongst the initial part when he's speaking, I'm guessing he seemed to have leastly enough strength to raise his voice. This increased in the action or the lawsuit or whatever the hell he was talking about itself. There was nulla cura, there was no care ever to him of exercising his voice. In English, he didn't do exercises for his voice. He was strong and agrestian, from countryside sort of thing, and he was not able to leave his moray of the Spanish type of habits, whatever. Whatever the res tolerated, whatever the situation raised, thus he would live. For the sake of his voice, he facerated nothing, did nothing. Not this through any steps. Gradually did he go from the bottom leading up to the top of his voice, and not again from the top. Contending in equal intervals did he descend with his voice, or up, high, down, low. Not sweat did he shake off with any unction or oil, and he didn't repair his, if we're taking Lattice's lungs, he didn't, his side, his body, his lungs, by ambulation, which is walking.